What's up, guys, and welcome to the Enhancement Shaman. We're actually going to be talking more or less about how it is in Legion forward, and not so much of, hey, this is what it's missing in live compared to now. A lot of that's been done already, so let's talk about how it is from Legion forward. I do have a few things that I do not mention, like Shamanistic Rage, because it no longer exists, guys. So please bear with me, and let's go ahead and talk about this thing from Legion forward, and let's go ahead and continue on. Thank you. Alright, so here we are, guys. We are actually getting ready to take a full look into the Enhancement Shaman, and how well this thing's playing and what the abilities are. This is going to be a full in-depth look, and not like the normal videos that you normally see me do that are real quick and brief. We're going to get into the spell book, we're going to get into the talents, we're going to get into the artifact ability and its traits, and we're also going to get into some of the gameplay and spell animations. So, on that note, let's go ahead and start off straight with the abilities. Alright, so here's the spell book, guys, and we're going to start it off. Ancestral Spirit's just your basic res. You still end up getting that as enhancement. So, kind of a nice little piece, I guess, but yeah, you still have the basic res. Ascendance is now a talent. We'll go over that later. Astral Recall is there, so you still get your double hearth. Unlike any other class, you still actually have this ability. Alright? Astral Shift's now baked into the actual spec. It's instant. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown, and basically it's going to do 40% less damage for 6 seconds. Really nice, good to end up having. We still have Bloodlust. If you don't know what Bloodlust is, guys, well, you shouldn't be a shaman or mage. Cleanse Spirit, we're gonna end up looking into this. I understand why they still have this on here, but there's hardly any enhanced mages, any of that actually use this, use their curse removal. So, I don't know why this is still on here. It's nice. I could see the utility being in for maybe elemental and restoration. You know, obviously restoration. But not so much enhanced, because it's a lot for them to end up watching with all the new abilities that are out. So, common discussion there. I mean, it's a nice utility piece for them to have. And we'll move on to Crash Lightning. Crash Lightning's completely new, guys. It is 20 Maelstrom, and basically what this is going to do is electrocute all enemies in front of you, dealing 20,375 nature damage. That number is more than likely going to change. If you hit 2 or more targets, though, this is the part that gets cool. Storm Strike and Lava Lash also deal nature damage to all targets in front of you. Basically, you turn into a cleave machine after hitting Crash Lightning. And it doesn't seem like a lot of damage, but it's huge. Absolutely huge increase in damage for AoE situations. Doom Winds is your artifact ability, and this thing is by far one of the funnest ones I've had. It's on a 45-second cooldown, and basically it makes it to where all auto attacks trigger Wind Fury, and increases the damage dealt by Wind Fury by 400% for 6 seconds. Huge damage out of this ability, guys. Absolutely insane, and also each time you end up hitting with Wind Fury, you generate Maelstrom. So it really helps out a ton with this. We'll get more into that later. Farsight, it's basically Eagle Eyes for hunters. You can use this thing in the distance, and it's going to give you a different view location. That's a talent. Feral Spirits are still here, guys. It's your main cooldown now. 2-minute cooldown. Summon 2 Spirit Wolves that aid you in battle for 15 seconds. They are immune to movement, and also grant 5 Maelstrom each time they attack. Sorry, movement impairing effects, guys. But the 5 Maelstrom's really where it's at with this, so you can end up doing a lot more damage. Maelstrom being your new resource, guys, so just remember this is all going to play together. Flame Tongue, it's instant. It scorches your target, dealing fire damage, and enhances your weapons with fire, which does very mild fire damage on each one. Doesn't seem like a lot, but this your enhancements play in, guys. They really gave enhancement the feel of being an enhancement spec. So, we'll get into it. But it does very light fire damage on each melee attack, so it's just a slight buff on it. Frostbrand, it's going to do the same thing, but in frost damage, and it has a chance to slow. Alright? and that slow will be 50% for 3 seconds over a 15-second duration. Ghost Wolf. Ghost Wolf, if you don't know what this does already, increases your speed by 30%, and movement speed can't be reduced below 100%. So it's just a complete movement speed increase all the way around. Healing Surge. Basically, you can heal you can heal anybody, and if you've got 20 Maelstrom, basically it's going to make it like how you used to get your Maelstrom procs. If you needed it in the heal, you can end up doing an instant cast heal with it. Really nice. You can use 20 Maelstrom, make it instant, and just keep on going, and it's really reliable. It almost seems more reliable than Elementals currently. Hex, you still have a form of CC. Basically, you can end up frogging people, but it only works on humanoids and beasts. You can only have one up, and it lasts 1 minute, 30-second cooldown. Pretty decent. Lava Lash, one of your core rotation abilities, guys. 30 Maelstrom, and it charges your offhand weapon with lava and burns your target, dealing X amount of fire damage. It's actually a pretty good amount. Lightning Bolt, and this is weird. They made it instant. It fires a bolt of lightning at the target, dealing very small nature damage. You can take a talent, we'll go over that, that'll improve this, up to how much Maelstrom you end up using. But the gameplay on this thing right now is, it's really nice. If if you've got something that charges away from you, you can swap to this and still keep your damage going, even though you're not on top of it. Purge, we still have that. You remove one beneficial magic effect from an enemy. Rock Biter is actually your new spammable generator ability. What it's going to do is it's going to generate 10 Maelstrom and do some nature damage. Not a whole hell of a lot, but this is another core rotation piece to keep your Maelstrom up when you're not getting the Wind Fury procs. Spirit Walk is a movement increase. Basically, it removes all movement impairing effects and increases your movement speed by 60% for 15 seconds. Really nice if you got to get the hell out of something really quick, and it is on a 1 minute cooldown, so it's not too bad. Storm Strike is another one of your main core rotation abilities, guys. It's the cooldown's reduced by haste. It is normally like a 15-second cooldown, I believe it is. It's 40 Maelstrom. Energizes both your weapons with lightning and delivers a massive, and when they say massive, this thing hits like a truck, blow to your target, dealing a total of blank whatever physical damage. It is huge damage. This is your main damaging ability. It should always be on cooldown. That goes the same for Lava Lash. We'll get more into that here in a little bit. Water Walking allows a friendly target to walk across the water for 10 minutes. Okay. Nothing special in that. Wind Shear is still your interrupt. Maelstrom Weapon. Now, this is where things start getting different in your passive. Quite a bit different. Each time you deal damage with a melee weapon, you generate 5 Maelstrom. So that includes your Wind Fury attacks, anything that you end up doing. You're going to generate 5 Maelstrom. There's going to be points where you won't even need the Rock Biter to actually build Maelstrom if you're swinging fast enough. Your Mastery, Enhanced Elements, increases your chance to trigger Stormbringer and Wind Fury by 6% and increases all Fire, Frost, and Nature damage you deal by 48.37%. They've improved Mastery a ton for this spec. And Stormbringer doesn't seem like a lot, but I'll show you this one here in just a second. Stormbringer and then Wind Fury, obviously that is your bread and butter to a lot of your damage, mainly because it's not only building up a shit ton of damage from the extra hits, but you're also going to end up getting more Maelstrom from those extra hits. Reincarnation, it's still here. It is on a 30-minute cooldown though, so just something to think about. Stormbringer is completely new, and this is cool, guys. This is part of the enhancement side that I was talking about. Each of your main hand attacks has a 9% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to cause 50% less Maelstrom and trigger no cooldown. Sorry, wrong one. Storm Lash is what I was talking about. This is going to increase your Storm Strike and your overall damage, but it's still really nice. With your 9% chance on your main hand attacks, Mastery is going to increase that. Storm Lash was the one that I was thinking about, guys. It's passive While your weapons are enhanced, your attacks have a chance to grant Stormlash to up to 2 party or raid members for 8 seconds, causing attacks and spellcasts to deal additional nature damage. So not only are you enhancing yourself whenever you use your enhancements, you have a chance of enhancing 2 additional party members, and there's a talent that'll make it 3 to do additional damage. It's huge. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really plays in, and if you've got this to where it procs well, this can increase someone else's damage anywhere between 3 and 5%. And that anyone that's rated knows that extra bit is always worth it, and it's really nice. And then Wind Fury, your last one, each of your main hand attacks has a 9% chance to trigger 3 extra attacks, dealing small physical damage. But it's not the damage that you're looking for. What you're looking for is that additional Maelstrom for those 3 attacks, because it's instant, dun, 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 and you've got 15 more Maelstrom. So, alright, so there's that, guys. We're going to actually go ahead and swap on over to the talents real quick, and we'll give you a look at them. Alright, so here you have it. We're going to look at the talents, guys. Level 15, Windsong. I saw a lot of cool opportunities with this thing, guys, but what it's going to do is it's a 10-yard range, instant and 45-second cooldown. And it's going to lash at your enemy for nature damage and enhance your weapons with wind, increasing your attack speed by 20% for 15 seconds. This thing was really cool to end up using. It was really cool to use, and it kept the Maelstrom generation up. But on a 45-second cooldown, it felt very... It made the spec almost feel clunky, having to always remember to get this thing back on cooldown. And it didn't do a lot of damage, but that attack speed increase actually helped out with Maelstrom generation. So it's going to have its own little niche spot. Seems really neat. Then you've got Hot Hands, and I took this one because Lava Lash hits like a truck when this thing's on, and it was always my top damage, even over Storm Strike. And basically your melee attacks with Flame Tongue active also makes your next Lava Lash cost no Maelstrom and deal 100% increased damage. Huge damage out of this thing, guys. What you're looking at is, instead of it doing currently 27,000, you're looking at it doing right around 54,000 damage. And it is a lot of extra damage. And then it also procs every single time, so you can just constantly have this thing to where it's not costing you any extra Maelstrom. You can use the Maelstrom on other abilities. Other thing that got a little bit of that plays a good gameplay change, guys, is this Boulder Fist. It's instant, but it is now it replaces your Rock Biter, and it is on a cooldown. It's roughly a 5-second cooldown reduced by haste. But you're going to slam your target with the Power of Stone, dealing pretty mediocre, like middle of the road nature damage, and enhancing your weapon for 10 seconds, increasing your critical strike chance by 10%, and all damage you deal by 5%. This is a huge damage buff. And it also generates 25 Maelstrom. Where I see this being more useful is when you need that additional crit. Crit doesn't play a whole hell of a lot on the Enhancement Shaman. It seems like Haste and Mastery are going to be the better beneficial area, and the all damage done. This feels like it's going to be more set for a burst window like PvP. I might be wrong with this. All of these seem to play very differently. This one here, the Maelstrom generation seems pretty awesome with it. Maybe if you get your Haste and Mastery up high enough, this is going to be the better way to go. That way you're not having to worry about it. But if you do overspend on Maelstrom, you could end up taking that time of where you should have Storm Strike on cooldown, having to wait to end up actually build up enough Maelstrom to use it again. A little more balance is going to be needed out of this Boulder Fist, but it does. All 3 of these play completely different, and it seems really interesting. And we'll see how it goes once it ends up getting gear. Level 30, you have Rainfall. Rainfall is an awesome raid utility, guys. Instant 10-second cooldown. Blanket the target area in healing rain. Restoring 11,995 health up to 6 allies over 10 seconds. Storm Strike and Lava Lash extend the duration of Rainfall by 3 seconds. Up to maximum 30. Basically, you can keep this thing down for the full 30 seconds if you're just running a rotation, guys. It is like a healing rain. It's just slightly weaker, obviously, because you're not restoration. And it is instant. So you can take this thing, you can throw it right on the ground with the group if you're stacked in a certain area, and just beat the living hell out of the boss, and you're going to help with raid utility. I do have Feral Lunge currently just for the increased movement, and it does do a little bit of damage on top. But basically what it's going to do is you just jump to the target and do a little bit of damage, but it's good for mobility. And then you have Wind Rush Totem. This is Stampeding Roar in totem form, guys. You summon a totem at the location, continually granting all allies who pass within 10 yards 60% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. 2-minute cooldown, though. That's what you got to look at. 2-minute cooldown, 30-second cooldown, 10-second cooldown. This one plays out very nice. I swap constantly back and forth between these, but right now I'm using the mobility. When I'm in dungeons, I usually take Rainfall just to end up helping the healers out, because with the new healing changes, a lot of people think they're extremely punishing, and they can be, but they're not nothing too excessive now. They've done a lot of toning down, especially in the normal dungeons. 45 Lightning Surge Totem. This does the same thing as what Capacitor Totem does on live. They just renamed it. 45-second cooldown, and basically you're going to take the targeting reticle, set this wherever you want, and that's the only main difference. It's got a targeting reticle, guys, instead of just setting it. And it's going to explode and stun them. Same thing as Capacitor Totem on live, except with a targeting reticle. Earth Grab Totem works the same as on live. It's going to root all enemies, and then if they leave, they're going to take 50% movement reduction. 30-second cooldown, 45-second cooldown. Voodoo Totem, now this is cool and this is new all the way around. Basically, this is going to, if the target can be hexed, which so far, not a lot of things in these dungeons can be hexed. Hexing requires human or beast, and not a lot of the stuff that we've gone against, it's all been ghosts or demons, or, you know, and it really doesn't fit too well, but when it does work, it's pretty cool to see them all turn to frogs. But it's going to summon a totem at target destination for 10 seconds. The totem hexes all enemies within 8 yards into frogs that are incapacitated and unable to attack or cast spells. Damage leaving the area will... Basically, this is awesome. 30-second cooldown. It's going to help a lot with if you're trying to do individual speed pulling. You could throw this thing down. It's going to keep them locked, and honestly, guys, it's going to be nice, especially if you're working with like a Death Knight that can just pull them right back out, and you can end up DPSing them down one by one. It's going to help a lot with damage situations. So there's that. It's cool, but I still like the stun better, because almost every tank wants to end up pulling everything gung-ho style like in WoD right now. And this is just a saving grace on them. Level 60, you have Lightning Shield. You do have this as an option in a talent. It is instant. You no longer have this without the talent. Surround yourself with a Shield of Lightning for 1 hour, which has a chance to deal small nature damage when you deal or take melee damage. So it works basically the same way as it does on live. Except I don't believe it does nature damage whenever you DPS. I can't remember if that's something they might have added in. But I do know usually it does damage, and this is what built your Maelstrom charges on live. And now it's just here to do whatever. Ancestral Swiftness just increases your haste by 10% and attack speed by 10%. I took this mainly for the sole purpose and reason of the Maelstrom generation through haste. I see haste being extremely huge, and I see mastery being extremely huge with this spec. Extremely blown away, like everybody, once they get maxed out on a lot of mastery and haste. Mastery probably being the higher of the two. And then you've got Sundering. They took Thrall's ability from HOTS and put it in here. Basically, you shatter a line in front of you, doing pretty good physical, high physical damage, and knocking enemies to the side. This was more annoying than anything, especially on 60 Maelstrom. Great damage, But it was annoying because you would end up blowing the mobs back, and then they would, no tank enjoys you pushing shit away from them in any situation, and it was just, even I felt annoyed when I would use this thing. Landslide in your level 75, its passive Rockbiter now also enhances your weapon, increasing your attack power by 20% for 10 seconds. It doesn't seem like a lot, but whenever you do end up using Rockbiter, increased attack power by 20% for 10 seconds, as long as you're using Rockbiter once every 10 seconds, you're awesome. And that's your main Maelstrom generator. So it's a kind of a timing game, but it improves the damage a ton. Overcharge, passive. Lightning Bolt now consumes up to 60 Maelstrom for up to 1,500% increased damage, but has a 7.1 second cooldown. Okay, so you trade in Lightning Bolt's instant cast for a cooldown, but you can do some insane damage off of this thing if you've got the Maelstrom there. So they kind of still have that play to where you build up Maelstrom and you can use Lightning Bolt to increase your single target damage if you want to go that route through this talent. 75, let's see, Tempest, passive. Stormbringer now affects the next 2 Storm Strikes. So what this is going to do is, instead of you getting the next one free and instant with no cooldown, you'll get the next 2 free instant with no cooldown. So it gives you more Storm Strike damage, which is, it's cool gameplay, guys. I mean, it's really nice, but it didn't seem to end up taking over what the overall attack power increase did on Landslide. Level 90, Crashing Storms. I think a lot of people are leaving this one to where it doesn't look as beneficial, but every test that I've done, I've tried all 3 of these. Stormlash, obviously, it's going to be more raid utility, with it spreading to 1 additional target and deals 30% additional damage. It did end up helping them a good amount, and this might be better in the raid situations. Then you've got Hailstorm. Frostbrand now also enhances your weapon damage, causing each of your weapon attacks to deal. So if you want to play more of the enhancement game here, you'll end up actually getting more Stormlash procs. Crashing Storms, on the other hand, single target and AoE seem to be top dog. It was always in a single target boss fight. It was about 3rd on my damage because it drops down this. Every time you cast Crash Lightning, it also electrifies the ground, leaving an electrical field behind which damages enemy. Basically, this leaves a pool of shit for the boss to stand in. And it does damage, and it does have a chance to do a lot of damage. It was, again, like I said, it was always 3rd or 4th on my Warcraft logs, and it really seemed a little odd, so it may need to be tuned. But it was doing a ton of damage, and it was not mild at all. And then in an AoE situation, this would cause some huge havoc. I mean, if you got 3 to 4 mobs that are all lined up, and you end up hitting this, and you go into your normal rotation is still going to do your AoE rotation after you hit Crash Lightning. This is going to leave that pool down on the ground doing a really solid amount of damage, and it doesn't look like it here, but I believe it also has a chance to crit still. And then you'll also do the regular rotation damage, and we'll get more into that later, but this is by far, it was oddly overpowered, and very strong, even in a single target situation. So I'm not sure which is going to take over. Hailstorm, I could see that doing some excess damage, but right now, until numbers tuning are done and then we get some actual numbers crunchers in here, it's going to be hard telling what this level 90 is going to lead into. Obviously, this is going to be more for the raid utility. This is going to give you more Storm Lashes because you're using the Frostbrand, and you're also doing additional frost damage, so it's really going to be a tight configuration, guys. And then we'll move on to the level 100 talents. You've got Ascendance. It's instant, it's a 3-minute cooldown, and it is now a talent. Fuck. Yeah, it works basically the same as on live, guys, except you're generating Maelstrom. You generate 4 Maelstrom per second while it's active over its 15 seconds. But other than that, everything else works the same. You bypass the armor and have a 30-yard range, and you also have Storm Strike that turns into the, Wind Strike or whatever. And it does good. It's a great cooldown. It pairs up well. You actually want to try and use this separate than your puppies to keep your Maelstrom generation from capping out too quickly, and it works nice. So now we'll go into Fury of Air. This is 100% AoE. Creates a vortex of wind 8 yards. 8 yards around you, dealing very small damage every 1 second to enemies caught in the storm and slowing them by 30% for 3 seconds. So this is going to be kind of like a PvP, haha, you ain't getting the hell away from me, / AoE deal. And what it does is it uses 5 Maelstrom off the bat to start it, and then 5 Maelstrom per second until you run out of Maelstrom or turn it off. It really wasn't that great. I didn't see any situation where this thing worked well. I even tried it on a lot of trash pulls, and it felt like I never wanted to use it because I would always use Crash Lightning and just go into the general rotation and do the extra damage. And then you've got Earthen Spike. Now this thing's cool, guys. I think it's really different. It's more like for your long distance fights, actual raid bosses. This thing's going to be awesome. And what you're looking at is 30 Maelstrom. It's on a 20-second cooldown, and it is instant. Summons an Earthen Spike under an enemy, dealing 36,900 medium physical damage. We'll go with medium because these numbers aren't always going to be correct. And increasing physical and nature damage you deal to the target by 10% for 10 seconds. So if you constantly use this thing, have the 30 Maelstrom and use it while it's on cooldown, you can keep it up 50% of the time to where you're doing 10% increased physical and nature damage. Huge, a really huge amount of damage there. Only problem I saw with this was the Maelstrom generation. And I mean, you can have this thing to where you've got a ton of new abilities that you're working with, and but currently right now I want to say a little bit more mastery and a little more haste. This thing will take over in all circumstances, even on shorter fights. But currently with the mastery that I've got, the Ascendance, the mastery and the haste, I've got the Ascendance on, at least in a 5-man dungeon, where I did most of my testing. This took over just for the simple fact of the Maelstrom generation, keeping it up there, keeping me from having to hit Rockbiter and play into the landslide play that I've got. Again, this is all going to be food for thought. It's going to be testing on what's going to be best. This looks like the long distance runner though, guys. Earthen Spike, where you'll be able to use it a few more times and actually keep it up longer than what the Ascendance was. So, okay, now that we've got the talents out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the artifact and what kind of traits it's got going on. Alright, we're going to start off with the skins here, guys. This is your basic model, and hell, it's the Doomhammer. What do you expect? It's going to look really nice no matter what, because it is truly a legendary weapon amongst WoW players. You have multiple different skin colorations just off the base model, and then you can go into what they call the Stormbringer. Really sick looking, guys. This is probably one of the better prepared models that were done, and I think that happened a lot across most of the already known legendary weapons. They were very well prepared. They look good. It's really nice. This is the Legion's Doom. Alright, all of these models really look sick, enjoyable. I'm going to let it spin around real quick. Now this is Blackhand's Fate in your PvP ones, and I really enjoy the PvP ones. I am almost I'm about 100% sure that I'm going to go Enhancement Enhancement from Elemental on my Shaman, just so I can end up having these weapons and also end up just playing through. Enhancement's really fun. It's extremely fun, guys. Absolutely batshit crazy fun. And it's 100% right there. So we're going to go ahead and swap from the skins here now. We're going to go over the traits. Alright, so the traits here. Again, I talked over Doomwinds, and this is your artifact ability. And we'll just mention it one more time. It's instant. It's a 45-second cooldown. And basically, it's going to unleash the inner power of Doomhammer, causing... Basically, Wind Fury is going to proc no matter what. And the damage dealt by Wind Fury is going to do 400% and increase damage for 6 seconds. Huge damage, guys. Probably one of the better abilities I've seen, even on a 45-second cooldown. So, I do have some artifact power in this. I have been playing this thing quite frequently. And it's for good reason, because it is a very fun spec. So we're going to start off with Hammer of Storms. 101, increase the damage dealt by Storm Strike. This is the one that you get as soon as you unlock it. Storm Strike by 15%. Gathering Storms. Each target hit by Crash Lightning increases damage dealt by your next Storm Strike within 12 seconds by 4%. Okay. And as you can see, that's also improved by one of the artifact relics. This does have a fire, it has an iron, and it also has a storm, but you have to unlock the third one through garrison campaigns. Still not liking that idea, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be as much of a damper on the gameplay like it is currently in WoD. Each target hit by Crash Lightning increases your damage dealt by your next Storm Strike. Okay, we went over that. Wind Strikes, 0 of 3. When Stormbringer resets the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike, you gain 3% attack speed for 3 seconds. Huge, guys. I see enhancement with a lot of the abilities in here going to be extremely overpowered. This is going to be less Rock Biters in your rotation and more Storm Strikes and Lava Lashes during procs. Stormbringer being your proc to end up getting it out. If you end up using Stormbringer, you're also going to get 3, 6, or 9%. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to add up. Increased attack speed for 3 seconds. Really cool, really awesome. It's going to play nice. And then we're going to go Spiritual Healing. Increase healing done by Healing Surge by 10%. This is more survivability. And again, with 20%... with 20 Maelstrom, that's also an instant cast heal. So it's an extreme life changer, or a lifesaver, I should say, to your own personal benefit, having additional healing. Storm Flurry, 0 of 1. Storm Strike has a 30% chance to strike an additional time for 40% of normal damage. This effect can chain off of itself. So basically, they're giving Storm Strike a 30% chance to multi-strike an additional time for 40% of the normal damage. So Storm Strike will get multi-strike off of this thing. Forged in Lava. Increased damage dealt by Lava Lash by 3%, stacking up 3 times, so a total of 9%. Awesome, because Lava Lash is huge damage, especially with hot hands. Doom Vortex. Lava Lash has a chance to cause Doomhammer to release a fiery tornado at your target's location, dealing X, whatever, fire damage for 3 seconds to enemies within 3 yards. AoE. Not as interesting as you would think. And it doesn't give how much of a chance it is, so we don't know what this is going to play out to. So far, alright, we'll see what it does. Doom Wolves. Doomhammer imbues each of your feral spirits with fire, frost, or lightning, granting them an extra ability. So I don't know what the extra ability is, but I do know that fire, frost, or lightning should also be affected by your mastery. So do they get that perk also? More than likely, because they are still tied under your spells. So just something to think about, guys, where mastery is going to end up doing some more excess damage as soon as you end up getting Doom Wolves. Elemental Healing. Activating Astral Shift heals you for 10% of your maximum health over 15 seconds, stacking 3 times, so it's probably going to be 30% of your health. Awesome. Anytime you can heal after taking a huge damage, it's usually really nice, because then the healers don't have to worry about doing it for you. And the way the healing game is now, you're probably not going to be top priority right off the bat. So doing it yourself sometimes helps. Raging Storms. This is 0 of 1. When Stormbringer resets the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike, it also increases damage dealt by your next Storm Strike by 50%. Awesome. Again, really buffing that core rotation, guys. The Stormbringer doing the extra damage, that's going to be insane. Spirit of the Maelstrom, 0 of 3. While in combat, in ghost form, you generate 5 Maelstrom every 2 seconds. So this is a way of keeping your Maelstrom going if you've got to move. And when you get back in, you can have the Maelstrom just to go straight back into normal rotation. Right on. Unleash Doom, 0 of 1. Passive. Storm Strike has a chance to unleash the power of Doomhammer, causing your special attacks to have molten lava or lightning spikes at your target for 10,000 whatever fire or nature damage. So depending on whether it's lava or lightning, this is going to be another on-chance ability with Storm Strike this time instead of Lava Lash. This one's Lava Lash doing AoE. This one's doing single target, and yeah. Again, it's going to be improved by mastery, this ability, and it is a RNG kind of whatever. This one's based on your cooldown. This one's based on RNG and AoE. This is RNG and single target. It's going to make it difficult on which way you want to end up speccing. This is going, depending on how well this procs, it doesn't tell you what kind of chance you've got. It's just a chance. Whenever you cast Storm Strike. Now, with Storm Strike being on a mediocre cooldown, what is it currently? Currently, it's sitting at 12.6 seconds, which is reduced by haste. Alright, cooldown. So every 12.6 seconds, you've got a chance of this happening and causing your special attacks to heave molten lava or lightning spikes. Just about everything you do is a special attack. Rock Biter is going to be considered a special attack. Lava Lash is going to be a special attack. Storm Strike, Flame Tongue, anything you end up using that is not a melee ability. So this could end up, depending on how well it procs, could turn into something really nice. Weapons of Elements. Increased damage dealt by Flame Tongue, Rock Biter, and Frostbrand by 3%. That's cool because that's just base damage being increased all the way through and through. 0 of 3, so that'll scale up to 9%. Very nice. Gathering the Maelstrom. Rock Biter generates an additional 1 Maelstrom, so instead of it being, what is it currently, 10, it'll be 11, 12, and 13. Alright. Increase the damage dealt by Wind Fury by 5%. 0 of 3, that'll be 15%. That's huge. Because, again, Wind Fury is your main ability, one of your main core abilities that you're working with. And then the last one I've got here is Alpha Wolf, guys. While feral spirits are active, Crash Lightning causes your wolves to attack all nearby enemies for the next 10 seconds. So if you need to become a trash compactor, there it is. Use your feral spirits, and they're going to cleave the shit out of everything. Boom. That kills off the artifact tree, guys. Now we're going to go right into some spell animations, and then we'll get into the gameplay last. So here we are, guys. Just taking a real quick look. You've got your general Rock Biter. Alright, and that was actually trinkets that procced along with it, to where it brought the snake and the waves. So you can definitely end up seeing on that bottom bar right there underneath where the Maelstrom is actually already capped out. And I've only hit Rock Biter once, but each swing's building. And then you've got Lava Lash, fairly generic. Storm Strike, it's on a proc. Basically just used our enhancement Flame Tongue. This is Crash Lightning in the pool I was talking about, and it does a huge amount of damage. Really cool. And we're going to go ahead and use the Doom Winds, which is your artifact ability. As you can see, it doesn't have a very cool animation, but it does roll off a ton of numbers. Huge damage. And then the other thing you're looking at, there's your wolves. I do have Feral Lunge. That's all that's going to do, is just Feral Lunge. Capacitor Totem, or I'm sorry, Lightning Surge Totem. And then Ascendance hasn't changed very much. Ascendance is still looking exactly the same. You're looking at your damage. Guys, this is what you've got. Visually, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, the new lightning bolt, it's the same thing here. As you can see, we're having bug issues. It's not wanting to show up every few casts. There we go. But it literally looks like a lightning bolt now. Oh, this dummy just switched to 110. No wonder I'm missing. Well, that doesn't work. It was level 100, and then it just switched to 110. Good old alpha. But guys, it's fairly generic on the actual rotations and stuff. And again, this is just some of the abilities that you're getting to see. Crash Lightning, sitting on the ground, and we'll go ahead and swap this over, and we'll actually get into the actual gameplay here. So we're going to start off talking about how well this thing's doing, and we're going to talk about a single target rotation, guys. Basically, what you're going to want to end up doing is making sure that Storm Strike is always on cooldown. You're going to want to make sure that Flame Tongue is always on cooldown. You're going to want to make sure Doom Winds is always on. Basically, if it's a special ability, make sure it's on cooldown. If you don't have the Maelstrom to end up using it, you're going to want to use Rock Biter, which is going to generate 10 Maelstrom. Each swing that you do, though, with a melee weapon is going to also generate 5 Maelstrom. So keep that in mind whenever you use Doom Winds. Those extra swings that you're getting through Wind Fury are going to help produce a ton of extra Maelstrom. So keep that in mind. So where are we playing? Okay, let's say it's going into a boss encounter. Obviously, you're going to want to open up with your cooldown, Feral Spirits. And then, more than likely, Doom Winds. That's going to put you up towards the top of your Maelstrom, almost capped out. And then you're going to want to follow in with Flame Tongue first. And the reason why I say this is so you have better chances of actually proccing your Storm Lash to get it on to other people. That extra damage on the boss is going to be insane. And then you're going to want to follow through with Storm Strike, which is also reduced by haste. That's another reason. If you do open up with Bloodlust, this thing's going to come off cooldown really quick, and you're already going to be generating a shit ton of Maelstrom. Then you also want to take out Lava Lash. If you did end up taking the Landslide talent that's in there, you want to make sure Rock Biter is up also, and you've got that 10% or 20% increased attack power from Landslide. And just keep that refreshed every 10 seconds. Really fun gameplay on this, guys. Basically, you are just meaty, you are spammy. This thing is fucking fun, by all means. And, I mean, it's going to play completely different depending on how you talent this thing. You can talent this thing to play, like, 15 different ways if you really wanted to. And it is absolutely insane. Each one's going to be... they really did a ton with this spec. Instead of it being one lane road that you had prior, and you were basically a god at AoE with putting Flame Shock up and Fire Nova, which is no longer there anymore. And then going through and, well, long story short, you're playing this thing as it is to end up just getting whatever basic numbers you can get back in the day. You know, currently in WoD, that's the way it is. You're single target, you're doing the damage, but you're not even close to what other people are in the same gear, and it's really sad. AoE though, any AoE situation, Fire Nova gets spread, and next thing you know, you're a god. They've moved away from that, and what you're looking at is a very strong single target rotation, and in the same mix, thanks to Crash Lightning, you can quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean very quickly, swap to an AoE situation. Anytime you have one target, unless you are spec'd into this thing and taking crashing storms, what you're going to want to do is actually play this thing normally in an AoE situation. Just hit Crash Lightning, make sure it hits, what is it, 3 targets? No, I'm sorry, it has to hit 2 or more targets. When it hits 2 or more targets, this thing's going to allow Lava Lash and Storm Strike to do additional damage to the next target. So you're going to just make sure that as long as you've got Crash Lightning being played in, especially if you have Crashing Storms, which by far is the way that I'm running right now, but use Crash Lightning, keep that up, and on 2 or more targets. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 2 targets, it doesn't matter if it's 10 targets. Use this shit, because the more that are there in your single target rotation after using Crash Lightning, the more damage you are going to do. Absolutely sick on the AoE side, guys. Very fun. And they set it up to where they can do some finer tuning to it instead of the Fire Nova play, where it made it to where we could actually literally break somebody's computer if there was enough mobs, by tossing out Fire Nova and just blowing everything up, literally. And that used to wreck a ton of people's computers. You'd see DCs everywhere if you had like 2 Enhancement Shamans going at it in Throne of Thunder, going up to, I can't even think of his name, but there was a huge trash pack there, and I used to always break their computers with enhancement. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But they did kind of give it a little bit of a tone down. It's not as heavy in that situation, but it's still playing out nicely to where the more mobs, the more damage you do. And it really doesn't matter too much on how you spec this for AoE or single target. Most of it's going to be spec towards how your single target is playing and how much damage you're doing in it, and then your AoE is just additional. You're adding on to it all through Crash Lightning. So with the single target rotation, again, as long as you're using your wolves correctly and you're balancing your Maelstrom, this thing's going to play out extremely well. You're going to have your Doom Winds, which is your artifact ability. Use that thing on cooldown, because that's going to give you that extra Maelstrom. You're going to be able to play nice and froggy with Storm Strike and Lava Lash. And you also want to make sure that these enhancements, you keep your enhancements up. Flame Tongue, make sure it stays up, because if you keep that up, you're not only going to be doing a little bit extra damage with Flame Tongue, but the thing that you're really looking at doing is you're buffing 2 other people, or 3 depending on what you spec into. So guys, I hope this really ends up helping you out. The spec is playing absolutely amazing, to the point to where my Elemental Shaman's more than likely going to become Enhance and Legion if I stay maining a Shaman. There's so many good classes out there right now. And again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, throw it a like and subscribe, and we will definitely get back to you with some of the greatest content. Thanks for watching.